Hey homies, I'm Ebony. Certain places bring out the best in you. Others, not so much. For some cities, it's love and wealth. For others, it's chaos and court dates. And that's not random. It's in your birth chart. The technique is called Astrocartography. It maps your personal astrology across the world, showing you where you'll thrive and where you might crash out. Let me show you what I mean and why the where of your story means just as much as the who. So, astrocartography. It sounds intense, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Your birth chart is a snapshot of where the planets were when you were born. But those planets hit different depending on where on Earth you are at any given time. Astrocartography takes your birth chart and lays it across the globe. Each planet draws lines on your personalized world map, and those lines show you where that planet's energy is amplified for you. Think of it as Google Maps, but make it astrological. Some lines make life feel easy, magnetic. You meet the right people, doors open, you glide through life. Other lines, that's where life busts your head to the white meat. And even if you never move or travel, these lines still matter. They explain why certain places or even people or products from certain locations just feel different. Each line on your astrocartography map ties back to a planet in your chart, and that planet's energy gets louder in those places. For me, my Jupiter line runs straight through Texas. Jupiter is a planet of abundance, opportunity, growth, and help from above. And while I've been to Texas a few times, I've never once had to pay to go there. Jupiter's like, don't worry, baby, I got the tab. Jobs, friends, somebody always funds it. And when I'm there, your girl, eating good. Jupiter is the planet of liberation and boundlessness. And my appetite is endless when I'm in the Lone Star State. I want a steady diet of gas station brisket, Tex-Mex, and Shipley's donuts. And that's where the Jupiterian growth hits. My waistline. Honestly, I'm scared to live there. I'd be on my 600-pound life waddling into the clinic talking about, it's not me, it's Jupiter. That is Jupiter turned all the way up. The opportunities and the excess. But here's the thing. There are no good or bad lines. Each one simply amplifies a planet's energy in your chart. The real question is, can you handle what it turns up? I'm going to share a few case studies. Let's start with Chris Brown. If you followed his career at all, you'll know that Los Angeles is basically his stage for the music and the mess. His Mars rising line runs right through Southern California, and Mars rules drive, action, aggression, impulse. It's basically the knuck if you buck planet. On rising lines, the planet that's rising becomes your identity. So with Mars, you become Mars personified. That's how other people perceive you, whether or not you realize it. Mars lines are powerful for go-getters and athletes, but when Mars energy isn't managed, it spills over into violence, accidents, or drama. In Chris's chart, Mars sits with Chiron and opposes Uranus. This is a volatile mix of pain, defiance, and sudden blow-ups. It's also working oneself to the point of exhaustion. So when he's in LA, that whole combo gets amplified. So the SWAT standoff at his mansion, Mars rising. Alleged gang ties, Mars rules blood, literally. And supposedly, Chris is a blood. Assaulting Rihanna, harassing Karrueche, allegedly assaulting his manager, breaking his mom's car window at a rehab facility. That is Mars acting out. Even his work ethic fits. Mars energy doesn't rest. It grinds until it breaks. And there was a news story about him having a seizure due to stress. So while the potential for violence is alive and well in his natal chart, LA does him no favors. And it's important to hold both truths. He's been open about having PTSD and bipolar disorder and about growing up in an abusive home. It doesn't excuse the harm that he's done to many people, but it does add some context. His chart reflects that story and LA amplifies it. Then, in 2019, he goes to Paris and a whole new energy lights up. That's where his Saturn-Volcanus lines run. Heavy, restrictive, guardedness. Volcanus is one of the hypothetical planets in Uranian astrology. And when it combines with Saturn, things get real serious real quick. It's about confinement, hypervigilance, and the walls closing in. Even literal imprisonment. Not exactly the free, vibrant Paris that James Baldwin wrote about. More like the kind that leaves you printing a #FreeMe t-shirt. And sure enough, Chris was detained on serious allegations. No charges, but the energy checks out. Then there's London, a different flavor of trouble for Chris. Neptune line runs through there. Neptune rules alcohol, confusion, lies, blurred boundaries. In 2023, he was accused of hitting someone with a tequila bottle at a London nightclub. Allegedly, he bloody the bloody bloke. A classic Neptune fog, messy, unclear, fueled by alcohol, but there was no arrest. Fast forward to 2025, it's the same city but a new chart. His solar return, the chart that changes every year on your birthday, puts Saturn right at the top of the sky over London. That's the part people miss about astrocartography. Timing matters. Your base map or your natal map stays the same, but each year different planets light up different places in the world for you. It's how a city that once felt confusing can suddenly become confining. And that's exactly what happened. Saturn on the midheaven is all about consequences, the planet of accountability and restriction that says, handle your business or you will be handled. And Saturn always collects. No extensions, no afterpay, none of that. On the Saturn line, there is public scrutiny and pressure to get your act together. It's great if you're working on something long-term, like a PhD, you can make some real progress there. But if you are attempting to coast or dodge responsibilities, Saturn will find you and drag you, kicking and screaming, back to face your punishment. You can run, but you can't hide. And that's what happened. He was arrested in 2025 for that 2023 nightclub incident and had to post $6 million in bail just to leave the country. He'll return in October 2026 for the trial. It is notoriously hard to leave Saturn lines. They keep you locked in until the lesson lands. And now he's moved to Nevada, right near his Uranus setting line. Uranus is the planet of lightning, unpredictability, and reinvention. Life there will be erratic. New people, weird situations, instability, constant changes. This isn't a place to settle down. But maybe he's not trying to. And remember, we carry our birth charts wherever we go. His Mars-Uranus tension doesn't just go away. It just plays out on a new stage. Chris's story shows how certain places can test you. They turn up the volume on what you still need to heal. But sometimes the right line feels like alignment instead of pressure. That's what happened with Kendrick Lamar. When Kendrick Lamar toured South Africa in 2014, he was traveling right near his Saturn overhead line. Sound familiar? Yes. That is the same energy we talked about with Chris Brown. Saturn brings the weight, the pressure, the call to step into adulthood, whether you're ready or not. But if you meet that energy halfway, you grow and your work matures with you. While there, Kendrick visited Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela spent decades in prison for standing on principle, fighting against the apartheid regime. That moment hit Kendrick hard, the legacy, the endurance, the integrity under pressure. That's Saturn, the slow burn that shapes your backbone. But South Africa also held Kendrick's moon rising line, and that's where the warmth came in. Because even revolutionaries need a hug. Kendrick called his friend Dave Free and said, "I took my shirt off and was just with the people. They were hugging me, loving me. I never felt love like that, just pure love, that energy." He said he felt like he belonged in Africa. That's the moon. Emotional connection, family, the feeling of being embraced exactly as you are. Under a moon rising line, you feel more like yourself. You're able to be authentic. It's like your heart beats louder there. It feels like coming home. Together, those two lines, Saturn and the moon, grounded him in both responsibility and belonging, the weight and the warmth. Out of that trip came To Pimp a Butterfly, an album steeped in accountability, ancestry, and social conscience. From his moon Saturn lines, Kendrick had a realization. He said, yeah, I grew up in Compton, in a challenging place, but there's a bigger story here. And one last thing about Saturn, it rewards effort and dutifulness. If you shoulder your responsibilities, the hard work pays off. Saturnian efforts are recognized by those in authority in your profession and colleagues. To Pimp a Butterfly received critical acclaim, and he won multiple Grammy Awards for the album as a whole and its singles, including I and All Right. Sometimes your astrocartography map lines you up with the exact environment that draws out the next version of yourself. And that same moonline energy that Kendrick felt in South Africa, I felt it too, but in Lisbon, Portugal. Even before I arrived, there was this sense of belonging. Some of my favorite friends from the States came to visit me, and they treated me like I actually lived in Lisbon, like they were coming to my home. I had Thanksgiving there with the whole community of Black expats. They were family. It was warm, full, honestly, probably my favorite Thanksgiving of all time. Please don't tell my blood relatives. I went on the African Lisbon tour 3 times, learning about Portuguese colonization and the African legacy there in Portugal. And while I was there, I met some supportive, inspiring women, and we just clicked. It was honestly an instant sisterhood. The neighborhoods that I stayed in, the homes that I stayed in, chef's kiss. Mwah. Totally my aesthetic. I had my little spots. One was a Black-owned restaurant literally called The Fam. Home, women, family, food, ancestry. These are all moon things. Whether it's Kendrick in South Africa or me in Lisbon, moon lines bring you back to yourself through the people and places that felt like family, even when you're thousands of miles from home. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Your chart isn't just about who you are. It's about where you thrive, where you struggle, and where your life will completely shift. Chris Brown's chart warned him about Europe. Kendrick's chart led him to the trip that shaped a masterpiece. Mine showed me where I'd feel at home, even an ocean away. And yours, it's doing the same thing right now. Maybe your Venus line runs through Paris, and that's where you'll meet your boo in the City of Lights. Maybe your Mars line runs through Tokyo, and that's where you'll finally launch that business or learn to whoop some ass. Or maybe, like Chris Brown, your Saturn line runs through a city you might want to skip this year. The point is, you have a map, and once you learn to read it, you stop wondering why certain places feel magical or cursed, and you start making moves, sometimes literal moves, that actually align with your energy. So maybe next time you hate a city, check your lines before you blame the locals. And if this helped you to see astrology a little bit differently, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you'll know when I'm posting. I'll see you real soon. Peace, homie.